Okay, welcome back to Bullish Bitcoin Bin Banter and Bullshit. This is pod 188, Two Fat Ladies. And I am Mr. Ullin. I am joined by Dr. Evil 10%. We do not have Sir Neverlook here today. Busy working his arse off at some sales conference or something. And Mrs. No Show is doing what she does best and tracking her carbon footprint. How are we doing?
Yeah, but do we have Mrs. No Show during an up month? Was that when he reappeared? It's been a while since he was on a pod, hasn't it?
Did you just misgender the they, them, Mrs. No Show?
I have to go on my DEI training.
Yeah, it needs to be re-educated in some.
Is that still a thing? Is that still a thing? It doesn't seem like such a big thing anymore. It seems to have really died off.
I don't know. There's a guy on Twitter that misgendered someone in Ireland at school and did 500 days in prison. So I think so.
that wasn't why he went to prison. It's because he got sacked because he repeatedly refused, and then once he was sacked, he kept on going back on the school premises,
just shouting, "All right, mate."
Yeah, pretty much like he was a full-on. I don't know what the term is, but like an extreme Christian.
Okay, yeah.
But so he really went for that. So it's a little bit more nuanced than what he's claiming in the papers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a week of Davos, hasn't it? So the rest of the world has been depleted of sex workers, well, record amounts. And funny enough, I was asking ChatGPT against it. It did circle saying there may be a lot of movement. I can't remember what his exact phrase was, but it's like, yeah, there may be a lot of it's just what they typically do for conferences. So I'm like, you're saying that the people at the Davos conference are using sex workers, and it kept on not going into it. And I was just like, this is strange. Like I've never seen
where's that ChatGPT you said?
Yeah, I've never seen it loop out something so badly but semi-admit it. Like when I had the big conversation about green energy and they basically admitted it was a chocolate teapot. I kept on beating it down until it said it is a chocolate teapot. Because you can't store the energy, you can't rely on the energy. So literally you're producing energy while something else produces energy, which is your stable base load. And it finally admitted it, but with this, it was not having it. And then I was also asking about Klaus Schwab, and it wasn't having that either, because someone told me, and this is for the pod, what was Klaus Schwab's mother's surname, maiden name?
It was maiden. I don't know. Go on.
Rothschild.
Woof. There it is.
Yeah, you can Google that, but ChatGPT's saying, no, not related to family. So I'm like, some random bald guy who is a professor at a university managed to become head of this shadowy organisation, which is full of conspiracy theorists, and the Rothschild has nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
But anyway, we started on a high. We talked about sex workers. We talked about Davos. We talked about Rothschild. What else can we get taken down for?
But I did see a tweet today that the odds on 3 of the world leaders being married to a Jew is 100.
Oh God!
Is 1 out of 100 million, and well, the UK has one, and there was 2 others as well, and it's like, there you go. Rothschild.
This is going down a bit of a different path to my just talking about Davos and Rothschild.
It's the same. It's the same. Guess what religion the Rothschilds are?
Okay, now.
Go on.
I'm going to have to leave this in a minute.
All pass leave to it. But we have some good stories in Davos though, because they did discuss Bitcoin there, and fair play. Brian Johnson was there, and I give him a lot of shit, and he deserves it. But we do have a good story where actually is very complimentary towards him. And but anyway, our first story of the week. It's a little bit old, and it's basically based on the price action that was very odd over the last probably 3 or 4 months. And I just thought I'd throw this in there because it's just an interesting theory. It might be complete bollocks because, as I always say, why did the price go up? More buyers than sellers. Why did the price go down? More sellers than buyers. But this guy here is a bull theory. Basically blames it on the banks and basically on Morgan Stanley to say that they essentially the crash that happened in October, then the January recovery looks planned, set up, and the data supports it. So in October was the trigger, announced a proposal to remove digital assets from its global indexes. That includes MicroStrategy, MetaPlanet. So basically causing fear that the financial institutions are removing a Bitcoin from its portfolio, and the 3 month pressure window, which is essentially a load of sell pressure. So selling as much as they can, but it's ticking the books. But then January 1st, they basically go, only joking. We're not going to. Well, actually, no, this isn't actually. This is just the pump starts. So we've got a pump. No one really knows why. Only insiders really know. But by January 5th and 6th, this is the full reversal where Morgan Stanley go and buy a load of Bitcoin, ETH, and Solana. And then they announced that they're not going to remove these companies after all. Sorry about that. But it just so happens that they brought a shit ton.
You're telling me a big investment company is doing market manipulation? That sounds quite unscrupulous.
And
I think it's unfounded.
Yeah, to us, it could well be unfounded, but the data kind of matches up where they scare the market, they wait 3 months, price has gone down significantly, and then when it looks like it's stabilized, they decide to start accumulating their Bitcoin again, and then announce, no, actually, that FUD that we said 3 months ago, we're not going to do any of it, business as usual, and then the price goes back up, and they got to buy some cheap Bitcoin. So who knows? This is the problem with having financial institutions in Bitcoin now, right? It's they are incentivized to manipulate the market. But it's no probably different to probably back in the day where the whales would do the same thing. But they would be in Bitcoin Twitter land. There's this problem, this bug in Bitcoin, or this shitcoin's better. And in reality, all they're trying to do is get the price of Bitcoin to go down so they can accumulate, and then they would just then spread the opposite news to then make the price go up, and then again spread some fear and FUD and feel they're short, and then buy more Bitcoin. It's the end game is the same with everyone, whether you're a pleb or an OG massive whale or you're a financial institution. Everybody is playing the same game. They want more Bitcoin.
Yeah, I look at this and like looking at price action, it does seem a little bit dicey, but I'm also looking at the pattern. So it's something which I was looking at the other day, and we kind of we're getting this semi little peak before we could potentially hit a trough, couldn't we? And the trough came around about just over a year after the main high, didn't it? So you think on that pattern, if we do go on previous ones, because we've had a double tip as well. We had the last high about the 18th of October. So we'd be looking at November later this year, wouldn't we, to follow the same rough pattern. Yeah. So I'm watching this a little bit, and there's going to be lots of market manipulation, but there is also the question going in my head: if someone like Saylor has so much Bitcoin, and there's all these other treasury companies, there's also countries collecting it, and there's Morgan Stanley, the ETF. It's like, how much of it isn't going to move because some of it's going to be held by boomers, and boomers don't sell. Like the boomer investment is 5 to 10 years, isn't it, before they even consider getting rid.
Mm. Yeah.
So
who knows?
Are we going to get a trough, or is it just going to be a bit sideways, and then everyone gets a bit more excited on the at the halving?
Well, at the moment, the people that are hitting me up, they're all talking about silver and gold, and there's a few people that are hitting me up claiming to have been in from for a year, and they've ridden the entire wave. I'm like, okay, of course you have. That asset that was flat for 20 years, you got in on year 21, where it just suddenly, pumps, a 2 or 3x. So number one, I don't believe them. But number two, it's one of them where when I start getting hit up by the certain people that I'm getting hit up by, I go, right, they're buying the top. These are the kind of people that when they start to message me about Bitcoin, I get worried because it's, oh no, we're running out of steam now. Because if these guys have finally agreed to buy some, then it really is
You
over.
know,
So,
funnily enough, about 2020, 21, I was looking at gold. So this is when I kind of like really realised what the monetary system was. And I was going, should I buy gold? I could have got it at what, about 1600 and it's now 5,000. But
yeah,
instead, I decided to put everything into Bitcoin.
yeah. Is that actually, that probably would be, it's worse, isn't it? I guess gold is technically outperformed Bitcoin, is it? Or not?
It's gone
What,
about 3x.
yeah.
And Bitcoin, what, around about the same time when I was looking at all this, was probably about 13, 14K.
Yeah, we've got a story about it anyway because it's interesting because obviously people that have that, if you buy this the digital version of it, then yeah, I guess you can just you don't have any of the actual main benefits of gold and silver, which is to be out of the financial system. It's like buying Bitcoin in an ETF. Like, what is the fucking point? You're only doing it for price appreciation. You're not doing it for the
Yeah,
core
most
reason.
people won't buy solid metal, will they? They'll just be buying
Yeah, I
paper.
mean, some of the people I know, they've gone into like their jewelers and stuff, and they have bought like some coins and necklaces or just basically just jewelry.
But you could just buy like coins and mints of it from a Royal Mint is probably a
Mm.
place which you buy in the UK because you know it's certain as long as someone doesn't intercept your parcel or someone fucks you over at the warehouse.
Yeah, but then they have the big issue of selling it back. Because obviously there's always a spread on stuff, but with silver and gold, the spread is enormous. It can be 35, 40%. So you might think, oh, the price of gold's 5,000, right?
Oh,
You take a chunk of gold into a dealer, they'll offer you like 4,500, max, or potentially 3,500 for that per ounce because they have to make their margin, right? They're going to hold that gold now. They're a
yeah.
retail
Whereas
store.
exchanges, you pay a fee, don't you?
Yeah, and there's still a spread. Obviously, when you buy and sell Bitcoin, if the price of Bitcoin is 100,000, you'll be able to sell your Bitcoin for 98 or 99. You won't be able to sell it for 100, because that's the current sell price. That's what they are selling it for. There's always a spread. There's always like a 1 or 2% spread in Bitcoin, but in precious metals, the spread can be 30, 40%. So, if you bought the IOUs, the paper gold, then it's simpler. You buy some paper gold for 1,600 and it gets to 5,000 and you can sell it on the market and there'll still be a spread. It probably will be similar, probably be 1 or 2% spread. But did you really hold the gold then? Were you really?
But
Did you really
it's
hedge
funny
against
though.
the financial system? Like, no, you
This
didn't.
was getting rumored about 3 years ago that it was going to kick off. Like with precious metals. I remember like looking at it with someone in work. What do we call them? Like the ordinary man or something.
Every
And
month.
the everyman. I bought silver for. I bought like £20 worth of silver in my Revolut account. It went up to £22. I went, sod this, get rid. And now it's about £110.
Yeah,
So it has flown up, but obviously 2 years too late.
yeah,
Um, but this is everyone's getting ready to flee from fiat, aren't they?
exactly. Yeah. The run up in precious metals is brilliant for Bitcoin because it's the precursor. Like this is the boomers fleeing first, and they're buying what they know. But the real hedge against the existing system, the financial system, is Bitcoin, right?
I thought you were
Yeah,
going to say Ethereum,
it still makes you
like a
laugh.
top,
Like gold
like
and
a top
silver.
G.
Top J.
I
Top J.
was going to say I've seen you take a particular exception to someone who says top G.
Yeah, he's a top J. Um, he's yeah. But yeah, it's like you like gold and silver. Like if you're really going to own it compared to Bitcoin, you have to have it in your house. Like it's a big lump. And then how are you going to? Let's say the financial system collapses. Now what? How are you going to spend that? Are you going to like lump these gold coins or gold bars
You
around?
walk around with like with a little razor and you shave a bit off like that.
And anyone's going to see that thing and that's going to hit you over the head and just take it, aren't they? It's just like,
Well,
oh, that didn't last long. And
not if you pull it out of your prison safe.
to be honest,
They're not going to want to touch you after that.
it might be worth more. And then, and obviously the world we live in today, you probably want to be transacting globally. So how are you going to do with that? You can't. You're going to post some gold to someone, are you? And then it's just silly. And obviously the scarcity element, like silver and gold, they literally can be made now. It's just not profitable to make it. But
I
we
think
clearly
silver, it's very, very common. And for anyone who's listening who doesn't kind of like know the history of money, the countries which did the best when they're looking at precious metal standards were the UK and various others, say, were using a gold standard. And then which countries used a silver standard? India and China. And they got lost behind, didn't they? And that even expanded into this century where they have caught up, but it took them all that time to catch up because they took the wrong choice of money.
yeah. Well, they
Like
want
silver
gold
is
standard.
common as anything. And
Yeah,
it's your argument about gold is probably the same thing. Is like, how much gold is there? Does anyone remember about that unbelievable scene, which was 40% of the world supply in Uganda?
I
What
know.
happened to that?
They
And
just
when
the scarcity of
um,
gold has just been nailed the last couple of years. Yet the
and
price has only gone up.
and they talk about gold production being, what is it? Was it
Like,
2-3% of the total gold per year?
yeah,
But how
so
come every gold mining company always has excess reserves which grow massively every year?
hmm,
It's not as rare as people think. 'Cause there's more and more tech, and then there's also the big threat is when they start getting into asteroid mining.
yeah,
That's game over.
yeah. There's asteroids like bigger than Earth that are just floating around solid gold. It's like the basically gold has an infinite supply. But
You
yeah,
can have like your gold suit. Everyone could have, like
you could.
millions worth of gold, and then everyone could be a millionaire.
Mm, it's kind of nuts that like it's if it wasn't just yellow and shiny and had 5,000 years of history, its value would be probably near zero because there's infinite of it. But anyway, let's move on to the next evolution of money, at least as the fiat system wants us to believe it. Totally the opposite from gold and silver, but good old CBDCs. So they're talking about stable coins, which are the precursor really to CBDCs, and they are doing this in America via the Clarity Act. So they're trying to put this through legislation to essentially make stablecoins be official and all part of the financial system. However, there's a big problem because these stablecoins can pay 4.5%.
And
However, the
those are
bank,
because they go against bonds, don't they, or treasury bills, whatever you want to call them.
yeah, yeah, and well, the banks typically pay 0.1, um, because obviously this isn't including interest rates and stuff. This is just if interest rates are zero, what does the bank pay you and what does stablecoins pay you? And stablecoins pay you 4.5% because they're um, largely well, to be honest, I don't even know how are stablecoins freaking like if you got freaking Tether, they're paying 4.5%. It's always a little bit strange. I mean, normally it just means they're freaking inflating the coin. Um,
No, I think they're just doing it. Like I imagine like interest rates are
mhm.
that high, but what you're mixing up is in order to get like 4% or close to that, you've got to have a certain paid account most of the time. And also it has to be locked away for years, so you can't get at it. Whereas what they're doing with the stable coin is they're saying, oh yeah, put it against this, and you just get it and you can pull it out at any point. There's no lock in for 2 years or
Oh,
three
right,
years. So
yeah.
literally, they're just giving you the return based upon the bonds or treasury bills. But it's quite an honest system, and I hate to say it because I don't. Well, I was going to say it's not that I don't really. I can't stand any types of cryptocurrency, but there's actually a better use case for that, isn't there?
Yeah. Usually with stable coins, if they're paying a yield, the question always is, well, who is the yield? And it's normally you. They're normally gambling the money in the background somewhere, and at some point they're going to lose the lot. But yeah,
It's just,
regardless
but
of
yeah, it's
that.
just buying bonds, and they probably are taking a fractional amount because you think the stablecoin company is probably just taking 0.1 or something.
Oh yeah, yeah. So they back the stable coins with bonds, and then the bonds pay the 4.5%, and they actually pass a lot of that money back to the person
Yeah,
buying
whereas
the
the
stable
banks
coin.
don't.
The
Like
banks
part of
steal it all.
the banks steal it, and then they also loan out your money 8 times.
Yeah, yeah. So this legislation, essentially, it was all going to go through, right? Everyone was super happy. The Clarity Act. Again, Brian Johnson was there, the CEO and founder of Coinbase.
Brian
Everyone,
Armstrong. I don't know why you keep on saying Johnson.
no, Brian Armstrong. Yeah, geez, what's I don't know where I've got that. Yeah, Brian Armstrong. But they slipped into the bill that basically stablecoins couldn't pay interest to make them essentially non-competitive and completely the same as normal
What
bank accounts.
about if they do it with
Yeah.
NFTs instead of stable coins? And they use stick dicks.
Imagine logging into your bank instead of seeing a balance as just a guy with his dick out. You
When
at
it's
the
just got written,
Sainsbury's to pay for your food, you're like, I'll send you this.
and it's like, but it has got a 4% return. Uh, um,
Right, send me
it's
that
funny
ticket.
though because we've spoke about this before, and it always sounds a bit like a conspiracy theory, but it is once again banks are writing the regulations. They're creating what are the regulations for? They're for creating a moat. They aren't there for anyone's. This isn't helping any consumer. This is just securing their place in society and make sure they are getting their money.
Yeah, it's the regulatory moat that we always talk about, isn't it? Yeah, they're there. Then they've suddenly realized that freaking hell, not only Bitcoin, but stable coins. Like the word stable is a threat to the banking system because weirdly, it actually just honestly pays the interest that comes from bonds to the consumer. And the banks
It's
have gone, oh,
starting to mount.
we've
It's
built our
starting to
business
mount up,
model.
isn't it?
Well,
It's
yeah,
starting to mount up. We've got
it's
gold, silver. We've got stable shit coins, which are all starting to go. God, why
it's
are they
funny
having
that,
to
isn't it?
protect
Like
it now?
literally the lowest paying asset that there is, which is bonds. Even that, they've even got to a point in banking that that is stolen. The profit from that is not given to the consumer, and all stable coins are doing is going, you know what? We'll actually just pay you the majority of what we make. We'll give it to you. We'll still keep you by 1 or 2% because Tether now is one of the largest companies in the freaking planet, and it's super profitable. We've got about like 10 employees, and it's turning over billions just by buying bonds and being a stable coin.
Turning over billions. Imagine if we started our own stable NFTs with stick dicks. We
Stable
could be
dick.
We could be billionaires within the week.
We'll see. But yeah, it's but yeah, we'll see what that goes. That story's probably about 10 days or 2 weeks old. And yeah, so the Clarity Act again. I love the branding of these things. It's like our clarity, and then hidden in the fucking terms and conditions of it on page 472. It's like stable coins cannot pay interest.
what did
It's just
what
fucking
did
genius.
what did Biden call his thing? It was called something basically to do with basically all it was a shitload of spending
It,
and a
it's
load
like
of
yeah,
inflation.
it was something about battling inflation
Yeah,
and
and
all it
basically
did is
caused
have a
inflation.
fuck ton of printing money in it. You're like, what? The same thing that when a load of people's human rights got removed in 2001, they called it the Patriot Act. You're not a patriot? You don't love your country? It's like, well, yeah. It's like, you support this act then. It's literally called it. And you read it and it says, we can hold you without charge indefinitely if we suspect you of terrorism. You know, what's the definition of terrorism? Anything that we say is terrorism. Oh fuck! Like, so like all my rights of I need to be innocent before proven guilty and have a proper justice process, with judges and juries and all that, you've basically created in the Patriot Act a complete bypass to that, and you can hold me indefinitely with no charge. Yeah, their branding of these acts are absolutely brilliant because they almost like the exact opposite of what they actually are. But let's get back to where we started. Let's get back to Davos. So here's Davos, and here's a Klaus Schwab character. It's not him. Sounds like him. Looks like him. And then we have Brian Armstrong also on stage.
I'd love like Klaus to turn up in one of his pretty little outfits again, looking like the Emperor.
He should just come as Darth Vader, shouldn't he? Like, I am your father. I am the father Jew.
I was going to say, I'll be surprised if this episode is on tomorrow.
It'll be on for about an hour. If you're listening to this in the first hour, congrats, because it's going to be gone soon. Anyway, let's hear from the Darth Jew.
Governor, you have to address this. Is the euro in danger from a Bitcoin standard?
No, I'm a bit skeptical, Brian. Sorry to say it about this idea of the Bitcoin standard. We left the gold standard, but the gold was only a technical mean. What is important is what you say, Bert, that monetary policy and money is part of sovereignty. And we live in democracies, and I think the public role is key. And if we lose that, really you lose a key function of democracy. That said, I always keep repeating that money, as long as it exists for centuries, has been a public-private partnership. You need a public anchor, whatever its form is. Remember, and silver and gold were sovereign assets, so it was on the public side. And then you had banknotes, and you will have CBDC. But anyway, the most important part of payments is in the private sphere, and this is the development of tokenized private money. But this tokenized private money must be regulated to inspire trust, confidence.
It's fascinating that you say that. Brian, you mentioned a complementary role that you could play.
So I think that crypto is very good for fiat currencies. It's very good. Bitcoin is like good as a check and balance on deficit spending, because when there is a lack of trust, or people, from like in a U.S. context, if people are worried about inflation, or maybe in places like Argentina or Turkey or Nigeria, they are going to flee to the thing that they believe is going to store value more. So I think in general, it's going to be very complementary. And like you said, I think it comes down to trust. And so if fiat currencies can maintain trust and not have, the money printer kind of debasing everybody, then they'll survive. But if countries that have bad behavior on that dimension, Bitcoin doesn't have a money printer. The supply is fixed, and people will go to it in times of uncertainty, kind of like they did with gold.
So the guarantee for trust is independence on central bank side, and we have a common mandate, and we are accountable to that. But sorry to say.
All right, we'll leave it there.
I love how he says central banks are independent, and I'm just like kind of going, weren't they set up originally by a certain family? We're not going down that avenue because you're just going to get me fired from my job soon. And it's just, but what annoyed me about that is Brian Johnson, as we can call him, keeps on mixing between the key principles of Bitcoin and calling it cryptocurrency because he's in his sales role.
I know.
He doesn't make much money from Bitcoiners. He makes some money from the trading of cryptocurrency on Coinbase.
Yeah.
Like Bitcoin, typically most holders buy and store, so you're getting reduced fees for that. Whereas the cryptocurrency is, I think, where they make all their money.
Because they buy, get wrecked, try and trade it into something else, get wrecked, buy some more, get wrecked, buy some more, get wrecked. So they're constantly coming back to get wrecked.
Well,
whereas Bitcoin is take it, put it into self-custody, and then buy another bit next month. And yeah, it's not that that's not that fun for them.
I miss the free lessons where we used to get was it $10 worth or was it $5 worth?
I've still got loads of dust from all those shit coins sat in that Coinbase account that's now been locked for about 4 years. But
I've got one bit of dust. I'm just gutted, but I think Coinbase originally used to get a Bitcoin or something, didn't you?
Oh yeah, when you first signed up, yeah. I this is well before my time, but yeah, in the first couple of years of Coinbase, yeah, you got one Bitcoin as their thank you for signing up, which is worth about $10 to $50.
But yeah, back to it. I think Brian Johnson, he did come across well,
Mm.
but I just didn't appreciate how he kept on switching the terms cryptocurrency and Bitcoin because, like I said, I think there was good argument, and then the person who sounded a bit like Klaus, he just wanted to maintain control through the
Yeah, well,
banking dynasties, didn't he?
yeah, he's trying to say that basically the fundamental of this
He's
argument
like,
really,
trust us, we've never debased the currency before. And it's just like,
yeah,
uh,
yeah, the fundamental argument, it does come down to trust, which is brilliant because that is really all that what gives money value. It is the trust in the soundness of that money. You can talk about all the other aspects of it, but all those get amalgamated into one big lump. And really, it's as an individual, which set of attributes of money do I trust to put my proof of work in? When I go to work and I earn some money, where am I going to store that? Where is the best place to store that money? And it does come fundamentally down to trust. And you've got the old WEF boy going, it's the banks. Of course it's the banks. When have the banks ever done you wrong? Completely ignoring all the times they've gone bust, all the times they've been bailed out, all the times that they've been proven to be stealing our interest, loaning out the money. So it's like, right, the banks are not trusted whatsoever. They failed numerous times. If the governments weren't behind them to bail them out, they'd have gone. They're basically casinos that gamble on money every day, and if they win, they keep the profit. If they lose, they get bailed out. Fuck those guys. And I think most people will go, of course I don't trust the bank, but I have no choice. And then there's Brian going, well, there is another option, and it's Bitcoin, and a lot of people trust that more. And I like how he's phrased it as how Bitcoin is complementary to the banking system. The word complementary is probably a little bit generous. It's competitive. They are competitive solutions. They are both competing for customers to store their wealth there. And he's basically going, provided the banks don't hit hyperinflation and steal all their customers' money, then there is no need for Bitcoin. And he kind of is correct. But every single bank in the world right now is stealing from their customers, is gambling, and it's a matter of time until they fail yet again. And maybe the government can bail them out, or maybe they can't afford to next time. So Bitcoin clearly that's their position. But he's going, if they don't, if the banks are, as you say, super trusted, they will continue to exist, and Bitcoin will always be in kind of a dark corner and just helping out countries that hit hyperinflation and be that little asset that the tech bros use occasionally. And he kind of hints to it, but he's like, but if the US do continue, and I like how he went, the money printer, and I was like, go on, just say goes burr. He went, oh, he didn't. I really wanted him to go say go burr. I imagine if he said that at the WEF, he didn't. If the money printer does print or something, I can't remember what he said, but then yeah, and then of course we all know the money printer has to go burr. That every single government and every single asset and like individual that's employed and all the rent seekers that are attached to government, they all want more money. They all have to keep the growth going. So they just have to print more and more and more. Inflation is going to keep going up and up and up.
Well, this is it. Like, if you're not in the UK, anyone's
Ponzi
listening, like we have a party called Reform who are getting big publicity, and it's all about anti-immigration. But as I keep on saying to everyone, they're not going to stop any immigration because they want to keep their big bloat and they want cheaper labour coming into the country. I'm like, they are just going to be exactly the same, and it's every government which comes in is exactly the same. It's not in their interest to reduce the bureaucracy because one, they're risking their job, and two, they're risking their friends as well, aren't they?
Yeah. The cheap labour, it's basically it's all a form of shrinkflation, isn't it? You have inflation, which is just the price of an asset goes up because a pound is now worth 90p. So then the asset has to go up to £1.10 just to be worth still a pound. But then the other way is shrinkflation. So you buy a packet of crisps, instead of having 30 crisps in it, it has 20, but it's technically sold to you for the same price. But every country at the moment, at least in the Western world, has an absolute their borders are pretty much open, right? And it's basically to shrinkflation of wages.
Yeah, to keep the inflation down. And
Yeah, if everyone was paid the proper minimum wage, then
they say this at first, and people were like, "Fucking hell, you're a bit of a Nazi." And then Boris Johnson did an interview with one of the papers, and he admitted what they did. He's like, "We opened our borders to keep inflation at bay," and it's just like,
we need
fucking told you all.
Yeah, we need cheap labor. Yeah. And the thing, it's happened like numerous times before in history. Like all you have to do is read the history books, and it happens all the time.
But it's also the whole IMF plot you have the key countries, basically the G8, and you have all the countries who they give loans to, and they usually, as a conditions, they make them into basically giant manufacturers of goods, which the G8 wants. So it's all centralised about keeping their costs down again. So you end up with industries in this country which are completely alien. They destroy the ecosystem of that country, and they take away the skilled workers in order to serve the G8. And obviously, we've benefited from it just because of where we were born.
Yeah.
But it is absolutely insane. But anyway, completely as a tangent. Should we talk about silver?
Let's do that.
I think I saw you comment to this one. No, it wasn't you. It'd be Sonny Poe I follow. Yeah, I didn't actually read it. I'll let you read it because I'm actually read it out.
Okay, so basically, this is a guy. He's got 1,000 ounces of silver, bought physical because everyone says that's what you should do. Real asset outside the system. When everything collapses, you're glad you've got it. Tried to sell some last week. Tried selling it today. Refineries won't touch it. Dealers lowballing 30% under spot. Banks look at me like I'm selling contraband. Turns out owning something that being able to exit something are two very different skills. This is the same trap I see in trading. People hold positions they can't exit, stocks with no volume, options with no buyers, sitting on value that only exists on paper. Supply and demand, lesson learned. So, yeah, and then, yeah, you're right. Yeah, the first comment is it's just like how I was saying before, really. The way to hold these exit the system assets is to actually not exit the system at all and just have paper silver. So then you can sell that extremely easily, but you're not supposed to, right? If you've got silver, if you've got gold, if you've got Bitcoin, you're supposed to hold it physically. Now with Bitcoin, if you ever want to hold that physically and then decide to sell some, you can put it back into the system, sell that bit super fast, and you're out. You don't have to go walking around the streets trying to find a Bitcoin dealer. But with gold and silver, you do if you have that physical asset. And yeah, because they are retailers, they will massively lowball you because they have to take that in, they have to verify it, they then have to store it, and then they have to find a seller. So, and who knows what's going to happen to the price of silver or gold in between them buying it and then when they sell it. The price has obviously run up huge amounts at the moment. If I was buying silver off someone and like I had a silver shop, yeah, I wouldn't be buying anywhere near the market price right now because I'd be going, what if silver drops by 20-30% tomorrow? I'm going to be holding a load of silver today that I brought well above the spot price that I'm going to have to just sit on and hide until the price goes back up because I don't want to sell at a loss. And everyone knows the price of silver. So, yeah, this is just another argument against holding gold and silver for the long term.
Yeah, I'd never considered this until when we were talking about it earlier, and also to now, because you just kind of think, oh yeah, it'll trade the prices. Was it 1,200 for silver? It'll sell for silver, but yeah, really good point because you haven't got an instant marketplace. You're waiting potentially a week, 2 weeks, 3 months. Yeah. Someone's come buy it, so you are going to have to do that 30% reduction.
Yeah, because it's retail, right? You sell anything in retail. Like you take them a Rolex watch, you think it's worth 10 grand, they'll buy it for 7 because they have to stick it in their shop. It's going to sit there. It's going to take up shelf space, and there's going to be multiple people come in. You're going to be paying staff to talk to that person, and when you finally sell it, and by the way, you get taxed. So they're a business. They need to pay for their rental, their lights,
Yeah,
their
you'd have to have
utilities.
you'd have to create some kind of like peer trading for silver, and I think and
Well, there
gold,
is.
which
There's paper silver, and there's
no, not
ETFs.
paper, as in peer. So
Oh,
literally connecting two people, but
uh,
then the likelihood of getting mugged is probably very high off something like that.
yeah. Or if you're the buyer, scammed, right? Because you now need to be to verify it all, right? And yeah,
Yeah, very good point because yeah, you'd have to cut it in half.
obviously, I'm sure you've seen all the images going around Twitter at the moment where they've got silver and gold bars chopped in half, and they've got tungsten like strips down the middle because obviously everyone just lines tungsten with silver and gold, and it weighs the same. So yeah, you need to buy very expensive equipment to verify this stuff if you're selling it, which is why it tends to be only big organizations that have that equipment that can verify the silver and gold. And sometimes even then, they still want to drill holes in your gold or silver at various different points to make sure it is solid and there isn't some tungsten hidden in the middle that is essentially worthless. So yeah, it's ironically, unless you have paper silver and paper gold, they haven't really even made that much money. Yeah, so the only gold that I really have is my wedding ring, and I think I've got a random coin that I've like got through inheritance. And you kind of look at it and go, oh yeah, the price of that stuff, like so my wedding ring and stuff, I bought it at one price, and now the price is like 3x or whatever. So the wedding ring is now worth like triple. But I look at this and go, yeah, but if I went off and tried to actually, obviously, I would never sell it anyway because there was sentimental value, but you're going to get 30% below spot. You're not going to get the market price that it's looking at. And 30% is a lot, by the way. You look at 5,000, you're going to get near a 4,000 or 3.5 for actually what you're going to get. So it's most of the gains kind of just
So
evaporate.
I was just thinking what you were. She was saying, "Oh yeah, the price of your wedding ring's gone up, and my wedding ring is just platinum."
Hmm.
I just had a look at the chart. Exactly the same. It's gone from roughly about 1,000 up to about 2,500. So zoomed up, and this is just yeah, people are moving to metals, aren't they?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
I even saw copper was doing crazy the other day. But
Oh, copper, there's a shortage. They're saying,
mm,
so we're not producing enough. So I
yeah,
think copper's going through receipt. No, actually, it's not. That might actually be one to get into. Ooh, maybe
yeah,
we could get 2x on copper.
buy some paper
Um,
copper.
yeah, 'cause it's trading at $6 roughly. So yeah, we could get in some copper trading.
Ooh, copper
It'd be
bros.
funny in a few weeks about moons and we haven't put anything into it.
I'll tell you now, I'm not buying shit of it, but yeah, good luck
Imagine
with
having
it.
all that copper wiring in your barn.
Uh, I've got a load of copper pipes. But let's move back into Bitcoin land, right? So we've got, oh God, this whole looking
I
core.
read this, I didn't really follow it, so I was waiting for your description of it.
Yeah, so we got this is the whole thing from a couple of months ago, right? Where we've got core version 3.0, and then we've got knots. And core V30 had a bug, and it's quite a serious bug. That they are now claiming it's just a bit of an edge case, da da da. But essentially, what it does is, under the right circumstances, it can delete the user's wallet and backups, so the wallet files and anything else stored in that wallet directory, which is massive. So it essentially deletes your Bitcoin. If you're on the wrong version or you've got an old legacy version of Bitcoin, essentially some of the wallets you might hold multiple wallets inside, whether it be a Ledger or a Jade or whatever. And then if you were using Bitcoin Core and you upgraded, some of those wallets would just get removed. So all the keys and everything just freaking disappears. So obviously, if you backed them up and all that, you can restore them, but could be devastating because you would assume that the upgrade would not delete these things. It should not delete these things, and it is a bug. And they tried to play it down, but essentially, it's serious and it does exist. And yeah, so this person, they basically detail it right down here. That essentially this client, it no longer supports a wallet type that was default until 2022. So most people, I'd imagine, in Bitcoin probably to a certain extent came in before 2022. And that's where a lot of the people after that, we haven't had huge peaks before that. So let's just assume you use the default wallet that comes with Bitcoin Core. You're running your own miners or nodes using the default wallet. And then these people, if they migrate to the new wallet, version 30, the same client can then delete all of your wallets and everything in the wallet folder if your migration fails. And that failure can happen simply by having pruned your node while your wallet wasn't loaded. So obviously a lot of people prune their nodes. If no one knows what pruning a node means, essentially it's the entire Bitcoin blockchain is a huge amount of data. So what most people do, and it's what I did when I ran my node, you essentially prune it and go, I only want, say, the last 5 years of data. So I'll take all the blockchain transactions for the last 5 years. I won't take the previous 10. I'll assume that the network already has those nailed down and agreed. So I'll just take the next 5. So basically just makes your node work faster, be more efficient. You need less memory. So most people did run nodes that had a pruned version of the blockchain. So essentially, if you're migrating and something happens and it fails, and it could have failed just because you pruned your node, which is very common, essentially you would just lose all your Bitcoin just through an upgrade. And so you would have to then be panicking, looking around to find a previous version of your computer that had all those files that were intact. And all you were doing is upgrading your Bitcoin software, and you would just literally log in and all your wallets would be empty. It would be devastating for you. And so that is a huge bug. And that's version 30 versus NOTs. And NOTs was very much classed as that's the risky option. Don't go with that. Trust Core. And Core is Adam Back. It's Blockstream. It's a load of the people that I have a huge amount of trust and faith in, and all those people were slagging off NOTs and going, "Oh, NOTs," and those guys are going, "Bitcoin 30 or Core 30 is dangerous. Don't use it." And didn't even know this bug existed, but now it's come out, and obviously it didn't get pushed, but thank God it didn't. They were saying don't use NOTs because it could have a hidden bug in it. And they were sat there with a version of their software about to be pushed that literally deletes users' Bitcoin at quite a high
edge case.
Yeah, an edge case that could have affected a large percentage of people. It is terrifying. It really is. And it almost looks like, is this malicious? Is this genuine? But is it a genuine mistake? Is it on purpose? It doesn't look good, and this for me, it really does just nail down for me. Let's all just fucking leave Bitcoin alone. I don't care about quantum. I don't care about anything. I don't care about fucking any little feature improvement in Bitcoin. I don't care about it enough to even have a 0.1% risk of breaking Bitcoin. Please don't fucking break it. This is our one and only chance to genuinely have Bitcoin outside of a government or money outside of government control. Let's not fuck it up. Yeah, we've made some changes since Satoshi coded it 15 years ago. Let's just fucking leave it alone now. We've made some amendments to a certain extent. Most of the amendments that we've made ended up fucking making it worse, allowing shitty JPEGs, ordinals, and whatever else shit they've got in there. We've only made it worse. We nearly really fucked it here by having a load of legacy people that use Core lose all their Bitcoin. Let's just if I could code freeze for the next decade. Fucking stop. No more. Bitcoin works fucking fantastic for me right now. Lightning is on top. Great. Layer 2. Innovate as much as you want in Layer 2. Leave Layer 1 alone. Especially Bitcoin Core, which is what the majority of people use to run their nodes and various wallets. Just even they should stop. Just stop.
So, should we move on to the next one? After your little rant.
Go on then. Go on, let's go back to Fiat Land and people scamming Fiat Land.
Yeah, I read this now. So this guy was talking about defaulting on credit cards, so taking out credit against Amex, Chase, and so on. And when collections come along, they they delete the what was it? So it goes there. Stack 1 credit cards, 2 convert to crypto, stop paying, and after 108 days they'll stop paying. But what they have to do is they have to go into dispute. So send verification letters to all 3 bureaus, 3 of the shadow bureaus, so they can't verify. Collections get deleted because the original creditor sold the debt and doesn't have any documentation anymore. I'm kind of like, this just sounds utter shit. And then he says rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So claiming that they've got 50,000 in crypto and their credit score's fine and they've paid nothing for that debt. And I'm just going, it's got a big community note on it, which I did spot.
It is funny.
But Amex in particular will come straight after you and will not leave you alone. I was kind of like,
so the debt will not disappear. The credit card company will sue you.
yeah. And what's one of the top comments on mine is, if this was possible, the Somalis would already be doing it. No need for census.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You know what? They probably fucking are. So,
but I was just like, this isn't happening because, well, you have to build up the credit score, so you'd have to have a reasonable income. And are you willing to risk that income on credit fraud when you go to prison? Like, this is, I just thought it was a bit ridiculous. I thought it was funny.
yeah.
I was like, no way has this happened.
Yeah, I know. It's taking out 50k of debt. To be honest, it's something that obviously I used to work in debt collection back in the day when it was 15 years ago, building software for it and then working with debt collection companies. There's plenty of people that did do this. You take out large amounts of debt, but obviously he missed out loads of steps. You have to move house. You have to not be registered on anything, and the debt essentially becomes statute barred after 7 years. So you have to run. You pretty much have to run for 7 years, changing address relatively regularly.
You'd have to have 7 years worth of funds in order to go on the run, because pretty much you have to stop your life, wouldn't you? You probably have to have multiple moves, so it doesn't.
You can still earn money. It's all fine. The debt has to find you, so they have to know your address. So you have to move a lot. So the people that I looked at, they were renting rooms above pubs and places where you can get your mail, but it's hard to get up to where you are. And then the pub manager wouldn't really ask for much information, so you could just be like, yeah, I'm like Bob Jones, whereas you weren't Bob Jones. So yeah, you can do it, but it's a freaking lifestyle. You can't just freaking say no. And of course, if you do say no and don't answer any calls or answer any letters, they will just not. You'll have debt collectors at your door. But I did like this just because it did remind me that I logged into my bank the other day, and it said at the top I'd been pre-approved for, weirdly, a 50k loan. I'm like, that's nice, because I asked for a loan 2 years ago, and they went, I couldn't even a 5k loan. But then I remembered I'd been working. I actually had a real life job for like 18 months. And so I haven't had it for like 8 or 9 months now, but they don't seem to have realized that. So I clicked a couple of buttons, and before I knew it, I had 50k in my account, which I sent straight off to Kraken, bought some Bitcoin, and so I was like, thank you very much. And
How'd
so
you get that through?
that was
Because,
Barclays.
sorry,
Barclays.
did you have to send it from Barclays to a challenger bank, or did you send it from Barclays straight to Kraken?
Straight through.
So I was going to say, I thought they would have blocked that being Barclays.
No, they didn't this time. They've called me before about it, but this time they didn't.
Because the big thing is, like, they'll be doing their little fraud checks. They'll be like, yeah, we approved a loan here. You just sent it to fucking Kraken.
I know, they didn't ask what I wanted it for. They just fucking said, "Do I want it?" And I just went, "Yeah." So basically, there's 8% interest, which works out at 11 grand over 5 years. So essentially, it's roughly a 20%. It works out at, from loan 50 grand, paying back 61, roughly 20%. So the next 5 years, Bitcoin needs to grow by at least 20%, and then it's been.
I love your little experiment that you basically take out loans in order to buy Bitcoin to see if it outgrows it.
Oh, I know it will. Like, so it's like, why wouldn't I take the free money? Like, thank you. I logged in. I literally clicked about 5 buttons I didn't put in a single bit of information. I just went click, 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 click. And I logged back into my bank, and there's 50k there. I'm like, these banks are sharks, right? They can't wait to give you the money. And obviously most people take that money and then just spend it. I just spend
I
it.
was going to say, one of my banks is offering me, I think it's Santander. They're offering me money. And I'm just like, in the current climate, I think you'd have to be a bit mad to do it, or obviously have the financial backing.
Just grab it, man. Grab it.
Mate, like, I don't want more debt.
It's just make, as long as it's over enough years, doesn't matter.
You know what I'm on? I'm Doctor Evil 10%.
Man, it's like credit cards. You can get 10 grand on 0% interest for a year. They're abuse the financial system just to play it in their own game. Because what they assume most people do with that money is to spend it. So if that's all you do, then yeah, that you literally borrow 10 grand and you pay back 11, you lost a grand, right? So whatever you wanted didn't cost 10 grand, it cost 11. But if you invest it, not 10, and you make it 15, basically you made 4 grand by gambling their money. But
Yeah. So this is our ongoing experiment. See,
yeah,
on pod 400, will you be up or down? Will you have a muck job?
if Bitcoin hasn't gone up by 20% in the next 5 years, so this is by 2031, then, well, yeah.
I thought you were going to say you'll eat your own dick.
I'll sell all my Bitcoin. Like, it's fucking done. Because that means it hasn't even kept with inflation by any stretch. Like, we should be, if we're not at 1 million by then, but basically it means, what would it mean, actually, based on today's price? Like 64k, according to my block clock now. So 20%, what's that? About 12k more, about 75k. So basically, in pounds, we have to be at 75k by 2031 for me to break even. If we're not at 800k by then, something's gone seriously wrong.
You'll eat your own dick on air.
Yeah, well, I'll do the the John McAfee version of that if you want. I'll say I'll eat my own dick, but I will outsource it to some Asian prostitutes who will do it very slowly through sex work. It'll be
Anyway, moving swiftly on. Is it the water heater as your next one? So we seem to have a feature every so often where we talk about what you can basically do with a Bitcoin miner. I think there's a standard heater, now there's a water heater. Do we have another one? Was there another one which had multiple uses, or was it just a heater as the previous?
I think it was just purely a heater, yeah, but this one heats up water, yeah. Let's have a look at it. Super heat.
It's quite
It's
a
basically
beast,
a
isn't
boiler.
it? Yeah. I wonder what capacity it has, whether it'd deal with a whole household.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it probably does. But this is the
Yeah,
thing, it's just genius, right? This is clearly going to be, the use case. Because the only thing that makes me wonder is how noisy is it? Because the miners, they give off heat, but they also make a fuck ton of noise.
you'd probably have to. I reckon you wouldn't be able to have it on the side of your kitchen there. You'd have to have it in some soundproof box.
Yeah, yeah. But it absolutely makes sense. Integrating
But
a miner into a boiler basically is
I'd say it isn't as good as the other Bitcoin piece of merchandise which we found, which was the kind of like weird statue, which was a ledger. Basically, if someone saw that through your window, you're getting mugged. That's my favourite and always has been.
yeah, like it's a 10 grand statue that basically says, please mug me. Yeah.
What's that? It's just a statue. Is that a giant ledger? No. It's just like, right, come back 2 hours later and mug you.
Yeah. Yeah. This is never a good one. This is another good story, but it's we're back into stablecoin land. So let's just say those regulations get passed and Tether and all that goes live, is now officially part of the financial system. I don't know why they don't like the fact that interest can be paid on it. What I bet they do love is the fact that it isn't decentralized, it isn't uncensorable, and it can be frozen. Because here we are. We have this is obviously a slightly old tweet now, back from January 13th. So it's 2 weeks old. But because this is when Venezuela fell to America, Maduro fell on January 5th. 6 days later, Tether froze 182 million in Venezuelan wallets. No court order, no SWIFT coordination, no international process. One request, one company, hours. So that's not what nobody understands about sanctions. So they were supposed to push Venezuela off the dollar rails. Instead, Venezuela moved 80% of its oil settlement into USDT, which is Tether backed by dollars. Oh, there you go, yeah. A stablecoin backed by 135 billion in US treasuries, with every transaction recorded on a public blockchain, freeze capability built in. Sanctions didn't drive Venezuela away from dollar infrastructure. Sanctions drove Venezuela onto dollar infrastructure. American controls more directly than traditional banking ever allowed. Because the paradox is, the harder America sanctioned Venezuela, the more Venezuela financed American deficits and exposed itself to American surveillance. The Genius Act now makes this mandatory. Every compliant stablecoin issuer must build in the kill switch. This isn't sanctions evasion, this is sanctions completion, and consensus hasn't figured it out yet. So that's the danger of stablecoins, right? If you're a country or an individual that thinks, oh, my country is under threat from America or from anybody, oh, I'll go into stablecoins to protect my money. I want to get out of fiat and into crypto land. If you're in stablecoins, they can still just fucking freeze it and it's going to be useless to you. They'll just seize it. It's not decentralized. It's one phone call to the head of Tether and they will just do it. That's what separates crypto from Bitcoin. crypto is centralized. The CEOs and founders of all these companies, Bitcoin, who the fuck do they call? If Venezuela had put this 182 million into Bitcoin,
Satoshi.
yeah, just what Satoshi's
Call
phone
him
number?
up.
Yeah, yeah,
He's that guy on the pictures, isn't he?
yeah, exactly. Like, you're gonna call a statue. There's no one to call. You can't freeze Bitcoin. You can freeze Tether. So it's so ironic that Venezuela clearly had a load of US dollars. They were worried that America was coming for them. So they converted their dollars into Tether, thinking that's away from them. But bizarrely, it made it easier because now you just put it on the blockchain, which they control, and they just froze it and took it back. If they'd have kept it in dollars and like put it in a big freaking safe somewhere and split it around their country, they'd at least had to go and find it and go and get it. But they put it into Tether and they just froze it. One transaction, boop, done. Sanctions are now on Venezuela. They're now a terrorist organization. Freeze all their assets. Bip, done. All their Tether belongs to us. I has cheeseburger. And that's all they wrote.
Yeah. We got a final story saying that Bitcoin's going parabolic in Iran. And my notes I've got, well, so are Fredo's.
Yeah, that's what it is. So did diapers. Yeah, it is true, to be fair. So obviously Iran seems to be the next target for America to go and invade. So clearly their currency has just gone into hyperinflation because nobody fucking wants it. Everyone's dumped it. If you're about to be destroyed by the big bullies of the world, clearly your currency is going to zero because they're going to replace it with the dollar. So yeah, if you look up at the price of Bitcoin in Iranian, whatever it is, does it say it on here? No, it doesn't. Yeah, basically the price of Bitcoin went parabolic, but the price of everything went parabolic because essentially the price of their fiat went into hyperinflation. But obviously people are making jokes of that. But if you're an Iranian and you have savings, your savings went to zero overnight because America pointed their gun at you. So if you had your 10 grand, your 50 grand, your 100 grand, whatever it was, you worked your entire fucking life for that money, you had it saved, and you're 75 years old and you're about to retire going, oh, I've got 100 grand in the bank, that'll like, I'll be able to coast out the rest of my life with that, give some money to the grandkids, buy some presents, I've got everything all lined up. And then America points their gun at you, and those savings go from 100 grand to 2 pence overnight. It fucking sucks.
Well, but if you've got a nice big mortgage, you've also got the benefits.
I guarantee they haven't. And guarantee
Yeah,
the
I was going to
banks.
say in Iran, it's going to be completely different. But I didn't even realize America were pointing a gun at Iran because there's been so much on Venezuela and then Greenland.
Oh, wait, well, at least 2 weeks ago, the second it went from Venezuela, it went straight to Iran. And that's when that story was from. It's 2 weeks old. And the rumors were Iran are next up. Because they've obviously, because they've got a lot of oil. Same as Venezuela. I didn't realize Venezuela, like, they make Saudi Arabia look like paupers. I had no idea that Venezuela had more oil than Saudi. Saudi are like just knocking around the world at the moment, buying up sports, taking football players from the Premiership, they're taking boxers, and Venezuela can smash them out the water when it comes to oil and minerals and stuff like that. So of course, the failing.
Give them a bit of freedom.
They've got so much freedom now, so much freedom to kiss the American boots. But there we are. There's another pod. Bitcoin is still being a little bit of a bitch when it comes to price, but I think it's one of them where we know we're right. All the signals are going in the same way. We're all good. we know there's a lot of manipulation going on. We got Saylor doing his fucking weird tricks, buying up billions of Bitcoin every other day. We got Morgan and Stanley playing its tricks. We've got a lot of people messing about. The good thing is Bitcoin has a finite supply, so they can only mess around with it so much. And there's so many people coming on board that are newcomers to Bitcoin that genuinely want to buy Bitcoin and hold it. I think that's the key. Everyone that buys Bitcoin, it's super important they take custody of it. Because that's the equivalent of a bank run, right? Because as we know, if we all took out our pounds or dollars from our banks, the banks would run out of money very quickly because they don't have the pounds or dollars to give us all. They have loaned them all out so many different times that they don't all exist. They literally don't hold all the money they should, and it's probably getting a similar case for Bitcoin as well. So we need to do a Bitcoin run on them, and everyone that is holding an ETF or holding money in the exchange, take custody of it. And if you're buying any Bitcoin, make sure you take custody of it, buy a ledger, figure out how to use it, figure out how to use the backup words. And as time goes on, there'll be more of us. And the price will go parabolic and it'll just bring everyone along for the ride. That's what people follow. The people will follow the price appreciation. And yeah, we know we're on the right side of history.
Now you finished now you finished your monologue. Is it time to hang up?
Yeah, I'm going to bed. See you later.
Layers.